Welcome, wonderful friends, to the Sunday rune and card readings. Very special energy here today. I'm actually recording this in a different room. I'm not sure how well the camera is actually focusing in here, but I have some extra guests staying with me this weekend, some furry friends who are a little bit anxious. I think it's the first time they have been away from home for a long time, actually, due to the lockdown and the pandemic. And so they're a bit anxious if I'm not with them. And so I've moved myself into the same room as them in order to just keep the energy good and settled. So yes, if you hear dogs snoring in unison in the background, you'll know what that is. Now, wonderful friends, we have just passed a very powerful new moon eclipse. Bearing in mind we're in a Mercury retrograde period and Saturn is also retrograde, which means that there may be delays, there may be hiccups, things may not seem to run smoothly. We do need to try to lean into a space of trust with that energy, knowing that if there is a delay or a diversion, that there will be some purpose to it. Likewise, with Saturn in retrograde, I think it's appropriate to consider with our manifestations. A lot of my readings are about manifestation. It seems to be increasingly coming through in the messages. It's how we navigate our lives in terms of our evolution into a space of conscious manifestation. And so what I think we need to be conscious of with Saturn in retrograde, any new moon wishes that you set around this powerful new moon eclipse, which was in Gemini, I think that realistically we are probably looking at the emergence of those manifestations sort of through the Saturn retrograde period, where you'll be shown what you need to do in order to create structures and foundations for the solidity, for the formation into being of your manifestations. That may also mean and involve some restructuring. Now, we have just now moved into the 6th moon cycle. Now the 6th moon cycle is the storyteller moon, and so for a month we are associating the energy of the flow of the moon in all of her phases. We'll be tuning into the storyteller energy. The storyteller energy, she helps us, I think, to understand our reference point to time, interestingly enough, to adjust our vision of time to a more cyclical process rather than a linear process, which is often how, again, we associate ourselves with manifestation. I also think in that reference point to time, particularly given the current astrology as well, we've been through eclipse season, Mercury in retrograde, there's something for me about her helping us to understand how we got to where we are, what adjustments we need to make in order to then look ahead and create the future that we wish to see, and indeed the future that we wish to be. I wanted to read you, before I begin, I opened the book, I've been looking at the 6th moon phases. It's a lovely book by Jamie Sams. And I wanted to read to you from this book, and this was effectively the lesson that I tuned in with before doing this reading. This was my lesson this morning. She says, speaking the truths of the past, the rivers of myth, the rivers of legend, and the rivers of history flow in many directions. Each river holds the viewpoint of a certain race, tribe, or nation, and captures the flow of life that each believed to be the truth. Where all the waters of truth converge is the delta of remembering, the place where the truth touches every heart. The truths that bring the remembering are spoken by the storyteller. When the listeners' hearts are opened to new understandings through ancient teachings, the spirit grows. To weave these stories that teach humankind to grasp the truths of the whole is a rare gift. And then she says, what would happen to the personal stories and memories of the elders you hold dear if you do not ask and record these stories? If you were suddenly taken from your family through accident or illness, what would you have wanted them to know about your personal history? Before any disaster threatens, it is time to leave a legacy that will be a source of strength and joy to the next generations of your family. Note, strength and joy. I really tuned in my meditations after reading this to what storytelling means, and I was really drawn in these readings to crystals and indeed crystal angels that help us to understand aspects of our ability to tell our own story, to speak our own truth, to know where we are. Indeed, I think some of you may genuinely have a story to tell. I will put the name of this book, by the way, in the information box below. I will also put a link. I'm just going to put it to one side for a moment, bear with me. I will put links to the readings, so those of you that want to fast forward to the readings, I'll put timestamps in the information box below and in the comments, so that you can, if you know whichever reading you want to tune into, you can immediately do so. Likewise, some of you I know want to sit and hear the extra guidance from the crystals, the crystal meanings and how those influence the readings, and I know some people like to sit with me while I draw the runes and the cards. So you can fast forward if you wish to whichever reading or readings are calling to you, or as I said, you can sit with me for the rest of this, and I will put the name of that book, Jamie Sams is the author, in the information box and the comments as well. I'm also posting daily now. I've pretty much managed to do it. Occasionally I fall short, but I have pretty much managed now to post daily on the A to Z of Emotional Health Facebook page the timings of the moon, including the void of course position. So for those of you that are really tuning in to manifesting with the moon, if you're using the Art of Manifestation diary or journal, you can get the exact timings in there every single day, including the void of course periods. Very useful to listen again to how those affect us in a personal way. So back to the storyteller, the moon of the storyteller, the ancient guidance and wisdom. It's interesting, I was also drawn to these beautiful wildflowers which actually grow in my garden. And in many ways they also mark the passage of time. We're moving towards, in the UK here, it's the summer solstice. We're moving towards the solstice, which is a pivotal turning point in the earth energy. And in a way these are a marker of time. They are a marker of where we are right here and right now. Also in terms in the UK of that process of harvest and abundance. So there's something of this energy of a reference point to where we are in time, where we are in relationship to time in some aspect of manifestation, particularly in telling our story, having a voice, being able to understand the story of our genetic lineage, our ancestors, and how that relates to our personal journey at this moment. So this is really very much what today's readings, I think, will be about. So let's now tune in to the additional guidance. If you notice a little blip in the video, one of my wonderful guest visitors just had a little bit of a moment and needed a bit of resettling. So I've had to just come away from the reading just for a second. Our first reading is going to be guided by green calcite and also an opalite angel. Now, green calcite is sometimes known as a memory stone. It has the ability, I think, to enable us to look at the past through a different lens, so we can kind of like psychologically gain a different perspective that in turn addresses any kind of internal discrepancies energetically within us that are stopping us from moving forwards. Opalite, wonderful, wonderful energy. Opalite opens channels of communication. So not just communication with others, but with ourselves, with our higher self, with our guides, our angels. So there is a very strong emphasis in reading number one in, I want to say, almost finding your voice through resolution of the past. In reading number two, we are going to be guided by red calcite and honey calcite, a honey calcite angel. I've always associated this angel actually with Archangel Gabriel. Now, Gabriel in Hebrew literally means God is my strength. He's known as the Archangel of revelation and communication. So again, communication coming through. Archangel Gabriel speaks of the truth, helps us to overcome fear and rise into the truest and best versions of ourselves. Red calcite is associated with enthusiasm and a passion to live life to the full. But it's interesting because not only does it sort of enhance our vitality and our energy, but it simultaneously centers us and grounds us. And I mean, it's associated with the root chakra, so very, very powerful in terms of being able to bring our ideas into form, to start to find the next steps forwards, to move our wishes from a place of the dream time into reality, because the root chakra is very much associated with that connection between that which is above and that which is below. So we are, it's a space of manifestation, of birthing into form. Wonderful, wonderful energy, honey calcite. Again, stone of leadership, but very much of us being our own leaders. So this is all about stepping up, really, and beginning to initiate and find the pathway forwards, seeing the next steps clearly. Reading number 3 is governed by sunstone. We have a lovely piece of raw sunstone and a cherry quartz angel. Now, sunstone is energetic, passionate, full of vibrant vitality. It forms a connection between the heart and the sun, and it's said to literally boost our life force. It's also said to alleviate fear, stress. So if you are stepping into a space of the new or the unknown, or there's uncertainty around you, I mean, again, it's associated with good luck and good fortune. It aligns all of our chakras, creating an energetic flow so that we can also move beyond, I'd say, the limitations of the ego and centre ourselves in the desires of the heart. Cherry quartz, this is amazing because cherry quartz is said to remove any kind of stagnant energy. So if we're feeling stuck, we can move forwards. And again, it's said to bring good fortune, bring us a shift in our fortune for the better. I always associate cherry quartz with the rune of movement, the bettering of any situation. So there's a lot of movement and vitality and flow coming into reading number 3. So wonderful friends, that's the additional guidance. Now I'm going to draw on our cards. Now, because of the energy of the storyteller moon, I felt it was really appropriate to draw at least one card from the Akashic Tarot. So the Akashic records, of course, do hold in many ways the records of where we've come from, where we've been, the stories of our ancestors. So we will draw one card for each of the readings from this pack. Now I'm also going to draw from the Mythic Tarot. This is my oldest tarot pack. I've had these for very many years. And we'll draw 3 from this pack. I am then going to draw from an American Indian Oracle pack. Now, the interesting thing with these cards is that they do sometimes give an indication of time. Again, we know that Storyteller Moon is associated with our reference points to time, and I think it's very unusual in readings to be given clear time guidelines. It's quite difficult to ascertain that in readings and in channelings. But we will draw one card from this and see whether any indications around time are shown to us. I'm also going to draw from the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards. I'm aware that one is flipping over there, which we cannot use because these are pick-a-card readings, so we need to make sure we can't see any of the cards that we're being shown before we draw them. Again, just one from this pack. Now, I'm also going to tune in with, I think, the Keepers of the Light. I'm very curious to see what kind of guidance is around all of you. So whichever reading or readings you're drawn to, we'll be able to see which of the kind of, almost like the Ascension Masters, the energy of those archetypal goddesses, gods, those archetypal, I just want to call it archetypal leadership, spiritual leadership energy that is flowing around you. So we'll draw one from this pack as well. So wonderful friends, I am going to leave the cards there. We'll draw some runes. I'm hearing 3 for each reading actually today. Actually, I'm just going to put them beneath. So wonderful friends, this is the point in the reading where you can press the pause button if you wish to just sit and get yourself grounded, get centered, listen to whichever reading is speaking to you, or readings, or indeed if you're cross-watching for friends, family, partners, potential partners. In fact, if you're doing it for somebody else, if you're wanting to cross-watch for anyone, my suggestion would be that you do that at a separate time to tuning into the readings for yourself. You know, if you're tuning into the readings initially for you, take your time, fast forward, dive into those readings. If you're watching for anyone else, if you have a strong sensation or guidance that one of the readings is relevant to somebody, obviously you can pass it to them. But otherwise, if you're wanting to tune in with it, don't confuse the energy between that and your own. Give yourself a little bit of space. Go outside, shake off the energy, and then come back in and see which one you are aligning with for that other person. Wonderful friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, of course, that we have a monthly draw. I give away a free private reading and a pack of the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards as well, and also some crystals. I've just made the announcement for last month's winners. So guys, if you're on our subscriber email list, because it is a subscriber offer, the link again is in the information box and the comments. But if you are on that list, do check out the announcement video, because you may well be a winner, in which case you may have either a private reading coming your way, or some cards, or some crystals. I've been making up some crystal power packs to send out to some of you guys for this month. So much love to you all. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the readings. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 1 with our beautiful green calcite and opalite angel. Now we'll look at our runes first. So we have the rune of harvest, we have the rune of protection, and we have the rune of movement. Now the rune of harvest, it actually often calls for patience and the recognition that something is going to take time to fully emerge and manifest. But it does require nurture coming through very strongly. It's quite interesting that you have the rune of protection as well. Not only are we needing to nurture something here, we're needing to nurture your progression through something. The rune of protection speaks of right action, of doing the right thing, taking actions that align with our higher self, holding the higher ground. Movement, interesting, because it suggests the bettering of any situation, the moving forwards of something gathering momentum. So I'm kind of seeing a process of moving through. It is like a river emerging and getting wider and wider and wider, gathering momentum. But I do feel there is something that you're needing to navigate, move through or move around or rise above. Particularly rising above is coming through here. Again, just tuning in with the energy of green calcite, because it's a memory stone. It helps us to look back, to understand the lessons that we've gained from past experiences, including difficult ones. Those lessons enable us to move forwards as a stronger, better person, in alignment with our higher self, the best version of us, despite what's happened. So there's something about moving through something here that's really coming through. Let's look at our cards. So we have Archangel Michael. Now this is the Akashic Records card. We have Archangel Michael, who is in a reverse position, which is suggesting that you are needing to align with your higher self, and again, move through and beyond. This is a calling to step up or step over something. We have the Page of Swords, which is very interesting. High Priestess in reverse. We're going to do some energy shifting here in this reading today. We have the Page of Pentacles as well, and the card of the Crow. We then have Serapis Bay, which is about ascension, move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the lightness is here, the light is here. Plus problems. This card asks you to view any problems as an opportunity rather than a crisis. Whenever we identify a problem, our very recognition and acknowledgement of this difficulty creates an opportunity to seek a potential solution. As long as a problem remains unseen or indeed denied, the doorway to a potential solution remains closed. This is the right action. So, Page of Swords. You know, for me in this pack, this always suggests there's something quite adolescent, quite school playgroundy, quite a bit backstabby, if you know what I mean, that the sort of the gossip, the drama. I feel like you guys have been drawn into something, or there is something going on around you that has that flavour. The stuff that is being said about you behind your back. You know, the way that people do things and they do it below the belt. It's for me, it represents something of the bullying that goes on. It's below the belt, it's unseen. You feel it, you feel the impact of it. You feel the impact of those words, of people's thoughts about you, of people's feelings about you. But you're not being given anything to go on here. Now you're needing to rise above this. Be the bigger person. Now, communication, the moon of storyteller. Maybe for some of you this is in the past. Maybe this is something you grew up with, you were bullied, or something has gone on and you are needing to address it, and the telling of your story, even if it's only journaling to yourself, but the telling of your story is important. Indeed, for some of you, I think the telling of your story may actually benefit and help others in navigating similar situations. But there is, whether this is current, for some of you, this is current. It's right here, it's right now, and I think some of you are not sure quite how to get out of the situation you're in. Okay, now this reading is really encouraging you and saying there is a way forwards. But you do need to tune into your higher self. Your higher self knows what to do. Archangel Michael in reverse actually says, lean on me for courage, lean on me for strength, lean on me for guidance. I am there to support you, but this is a time to step up, to step over, to step above something. Very, very clear. Again, the rune of protection. It's this right action that will allow the situation to move forwards in a better way. You need to regain your own power as well. You need to have a voice and you need to regain your own sense of personal power. We have the card of the Crow. Crow medicine is really, really interesting because it's such a shamanic symbol. The crows fly between the worlds. They're not afraid to move from darkness into light. It carries a great deal of shamanic power and meaning because, again, shamans will travel into the dark and into the light. They know the benefit actually of both. You know, in a way we can't fully know the light if we can't also venture into the shadows. What this reading is really saying to me is that there's something that has happened. Now, for some of you it's current, the energy of it is very much around you, and I'm really feeling that. What I'm feeling in my physical body, and I'll describe this because for those of you for whom it's current, I think you'll tune in with this. It's literally across my back. It's like across my rib cage, across my back. I can feel pressure. It's almost like someone's pushing me. If somebody put their hands on my rib cage and was pushing me and pressuring me, that's what I feel like. That's what the energy that is incoming for some of you in a present way, that's what it feels like for me. So there's pressure around you, pressure to do something, to join in with something. You know, again, it's that kind of school playgroundy stuff where if you don't join in, you might get, you know that something's happening that isn't okay. Maybe somebody's being targeted, maybe you're being targeted, but for some of you, maybe someone's being targeted. You don't know how not to be pressured. You don't know how to stand back from it. You're under pressure to join in some way. For some of you, you are the target, and it's been really, really difficult. It's worn you down. There's something that has eroded you. It's interesting, the rune of harvest. Now, the rune of harvest speaks of a period of a year. Now, sometimes that in a spread, the rune of harvest is really saying, have patience, everything is going to grow, everything is going to emerge. I think for some of you, this has gone on for about a year. For those of you for whom this is current, it's gone on for about a year. You've been dealing with something. You may even during the pandemic have found yourself in lockdown with some people or an individual person who is really quite challenging, really quite dominating. There's just a lot of pressure around you. It may be you've been in a situation that has been applying pressure. But what's going on at the moment is this backstabby stuff. It's the gossip, the drama, putting people down. This is not a good energy. It's a very low vibrational energy. Archangel Michael in reverse is simply acknowledging that you are in a situation, or you are trying to come through and recover from a situation that has been traumatic. It's had lower vibrational energy around it by somebody or some parties, and you're needing to move beyond it. The crow says step up. Don't be afraid to step up. Don't be afraid to step into that higher version of yourself. Your protection is right action. Your protection is the stepping up and being the bigger person, the better person. Your protection is moving into your true self. Rise above the darkness. The light is here. Your protection is understanding that you can gain from this situation. You too are a winner, because even if it means that you draw a line around something or some people or a circumstance or a situation, however you approach this, even if you say goodbye and send love and walk away, and that may be what's needed for some of you, it's the right thing to do. The moment we step into that space of learning where we see every situation as a place of gain and a place of benefit, because we learn, we grow, we get stronger. Even if you're hanging out with people who are really not so great, or you have been, they're teaching you how not to be. Okay, so there's something very powerful. Now, the memory stone here. For some of you, this is current, as I've just said. For others, this goes way back. It really does go way, way back to the roots of your childhood, and even potentially to lifetimes before, where again, things were out of your control. You were pressured in some way. I think things were out of your control is the best way I can say it. You found yourself quite traumatized. You struggled to hold hope, and you struggled to hold your connection to the light. Everything in this reading is suggesting that you can move through this. Now, we've just had this new moon eclipse. Eclipse season is an amazing time to shift from the past situations, to let go of legacies, to deal with karmic issues, in fact to find and seek karmic resolution through moving forwards. It's like a portal, a portal of time again, of course, storyteller moon. Here we are, our reference point to time again. So you are being asked in this reading as well to trust and believe and look ahead. To re-find hope, re-find the light. Move away from this, let go of it. If you are uncertain or feeling a bit shrouded in fog, I know I need to come back to this rune here, I've jumped ahead, but I'll come back in just a moment. If you're feeling a bit shrouded in fog, remember fog stands for fear, obligation, guilt. You're needing to realign with your intuition and your higher self in order to make choices and decisions. Now, coming back to the rune of harvest, for some of you this has gone on for a year. For some of you we are going back many moons, really, many cycles of harvest where you haven't quite been able to shift the residue or the memory of this. This is a time to be shifting that and letting go of it once and for all. You then gain the strength of knowing the shadows. You're not afraid of the shadows anymore. You've been there, done that. You know if you have walked in the shadows and then returned into the light, stepped up, returned into the light, stronger, bigger, better. And that's the energy that's being offered here. Stronger, bigger, better. Better version of you. That's when actually the shadows and the past no longer govern you. They no longer hold the fear for you. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, moving on. The rune of harvest is also indicating moving forwards. For many of you, if you have been working at this from the past, I think you've been really trying to process it again and again. You've sown a lot of seeds, and it's time to nurture those seeds into a space of fulfillment, of real strength. Everything here is with you to create this shift. I do need to say trauma is the word that comes to mind. You've had to deal with a trauma, whether that is history or whether it is current. Now, the Page of Pentacles is, for me, a card of promise. It says something needs to be nurtured, something needs to be brought to fruition. But rather like the rune of harvest, it is a card of promise. You've sown seeds. The aspects of your own personal self-empowerment need to be nurtured and continue to be brought forth. And I want to say big respect, because the last few years have been epic, let's face it. You know, in astrology, astrologers knew 2020 was going to be epic. We didn't know how it would necessarily actually manifest, but we knew it was going to be epic. We knew that the planetary alignments were going to stop humanity in their tracks. You know, so this is an epic time of evolutionary growth for everybody, but it's more than that. For you guys, there's something deeply personal about recovery from trauma. For some of you, we are even going back in your genetic line. Now, we're going to do some energy shifting here. Now, because I'm in a different room, I don't have an abundance of crystals with me. However, I do have, I'm going to draw on some things. So, what I do have around here is, I have a piece of, in fact, let me just bring in this little pot here. Now, I have these here because I'm making up power packs, which I'm sending out from the monthly draw, last month's draw. I'm going to use the blue calcite here. Blue calcite, all calcites are major healers, but blue calcite lowers anxiety, it reduces fear, it helps us to let go of toxins from the past. And lavender, I have sage here and lavender. Now, sage is always, it always shifts us out of a negative space, and lavender is a healer. It takes the energy that we need to wherever we need to go and wherever it's needed. It's called an adaptogen, so the energy goes where it's required. So I'm going to do a bit of shifting energy here. I'm going to move these cards out because I want us to write the energy both of Archangel Michael in supporting you, knowing that that support is available. And I want us to shift the energy of the High Priestess so that she is in an upright position and you are aligned with your intuition. So let us first of all just acknowledge the degree of challenge that you guys have actually come through with very, very big respect, because when we do this individual work, we are actually contributing to the higher consciousness of the collective humanity. So let me just bring in some lavender, and I am literally going to just sprinkle this across the reading. Okay, isn't that wonderful? A little piece of copal has come in to our reading here. That's another little piece here. Copal comes from lightning trees, trees that have been struck by lightning. We burn it like incense, and it's very good. It's quite hard hitting. It can cut ties. I think that's interesting. That's just come through. So I'm literally just going to bring in a very different energy of healing and of severing ties from the past. I love that copal just showed up. Oh, there's another little piece in there too. Let's bring that in. As I said, this is like the lifeblood of the tree, and it helps us to sever ties. I am going to then move the Archangel Michael energy. So sit with how this is feeling for you. move Archangel Michael into an upright position, affirming your connection and validation with him. He lends you his strength and his courage, and indeed he honours your strength and courage for everything you have been through. I am now also going to remove some negativity from this gossip and drama card. Yeah, whatever has been the trauma, let's just bring in some sage. So this is just reducing that negativity, taking that down, removing it. In fact, I'm going to bring in these little pieces of copal that arrived purely because they arrived. And they are going to cut this cord, enabling you to let go of fear. Okay, we're going to move the High Priestess into her upright position. Wonderful. And we're going to draw on blue calcite. We are going to keep you in a calm, firm space where you release fear. You know that you are in alignment with your higher self, your higher vision. You are guided. Serapis Bay, Ascension. Rise above the darkness, the light is here. Archangel Michael lending you his courage. Everything here is aimed at moving you forwards, giving you the protection you need, helping you to align with your higher self, your higher vision, and walk that higher pathway. Harvest is promised in the future. You are shifting and moving from something in a very permanent way because your perspective is changing. This is the energy of green calcite, the memory stone. It allows us to alter our perspective so that the energy around us shifts and changes completely. I have to say that is feeling so much better. I'm grateful that I had those herbs sitting here from recording the announcement earlier, getting ready to make up those power packs and send them out to people. Wonderful friends, I'm going to close the reading down now, and big respect to you. This is not something to be drawn into, and if you have, again, don't give yourself a hard time, just step away from it, rise above. There is a major shift in energy coming here, and as we shift the energy within, we then, of course, create a shift in our external reality. That is when we begin to then attract a very different kind of circumstance, a very different kind of people, person around us as well. So, wonderful friends, so much love to you. And as I said, big respect. This is the deep stuff of, it's the true work of a spiritual warrior. So much love to you all. Namaste. Actually, wonderful friends, this is a quick add-on, having just gone through the saying of my goodbyes. So if you, again, you'll see a little glitch in the video. I just wanted to add something because it came through as I was I switched off the video. I think at a level of soul, many people have come here actually at this time of accelerated growth into a new age. I think people have come here at a level of soul, and this will be you if you are watching this reading. We have come here very specifically to process trauma, because for generations trauma has been passed from generation to generation, sometimes through inappropriate behaviour or bad parenting. Again, not even with intention of bad parenting, but because, if your great-grandparents had no, emotional awareness, they won't have been able to pass it to the next generation, or and so on and so forth. We're also dealing with many generations of trauma that have experienced war, deprivation, really acutely traumatic circumstances. We are now also dealing with the trauma of a pandemic. I think many people have come here at a level of soul very specifically to be able to process trauma either from the past or in the present in ways that do not leave it as a legacy for future generations. I just wanted to add that because I feel it is a really important piece of information to hold, especially if we are navigating our own shift in perspectives and consciousness, to recognize that the stuff we've been through has held a purpose, not just for us, but a higher purpose, and that we are, through our own challenges and difficulties, stepping up and playing a very big role in the evolution of humanity. So I just wanted to add that, hence the little edit there. big respect. It reinforces that for me, and just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because this is how we create long-lasting, real, significant, valuable change. So much love to you all. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 2 with the wonderful honey calcite angel and red calcite. Lots of renewed vitality, very affirming actually. That's what this feels like. There's a lot of affirmation in this reading. Now we have the rune of partnership. We have the rune of flow, but in reverse. I wonder if we'll be doing some energy shifting in this reading. And we have the rune of gateway. Okay, so the energy of partnership is around you. Now, partnership is the rune of partnership. We're talking one-on-one relationships. So there's something about relationships, whether we are talking an intimate relationship, a love relationship, or a business partnership, or a family member or friend. There is something here around you, I'd say, that isn't flowing as well as we might like it to. Or there's resistance to some kind of flow forwards. We also have the rune of gateway asking you to reflect and to review before stepping through the gateway. So you are at quite a significant point here within this relationship, and the invitation around you is to evaluate before deciding how you're going to proceed. Whether stepping through is, I'm sort of being shown, for some of you it may be leaving a relationship behind. For others it's entering that relationship from a new space within yourself, and for others it's actually entering into a new relationship in some way. But at the moment something is needing to be reviewed and understood. Let's have a look at our cards. So we have initiation and the Count Saint Germain. We have Seven of Swords, the Emperor, Page of Wands. We have the Tree of Life. Okay, we have the card You Are Safe Now. Wow, okay, so we have Saint Germain appearing twice in one reading. Now that for me is just huge. So you are in a space of, I want to say, initiation. You are about to move through and beyond something. It's like, and it's not small. This is like really big karmically. Now, if you are, and it centers around relationship. This is a relationship reading. So whoever you are connected to, for whom this is connected, for some of you it could be more than one relationship, because it could literally be that you are moving into a space of being in relationship to others in a way that is completely different. You've broken the karmic trench, you've broken the karmic pattern, you're moving through something. Saint Germain, karma releasing, move beyond drama, create your own path, make room for good energy. You are safe now. It is safe to relax. This card says you have been through a major ordeal and you've been amazing. You've handled it all. But as a consequence, you've learned to live on high alert. This needs to change. Your mind needs peace and your body needs to relax and repair. This card brings a message. You are safe now. It is okay to relax. I need to say to you guys, I am feeling the most profound restriction around my throat. Now, we know Archangel Gabriel means God is my strength. He is the Archangel of revelation and communication. I feel like on some level, whatever this is about, I mean, you've certainly experienced something in your current lifetime. It could be very recent. It could be a series of relationships. You've been stifled. You haven't been able to have a voice. Gosh, there's so much karmic stuff coming through these readings this week. It's extraordinary. You've been stifled. You've had to play the role of tact and diplomacy. you haven't been able to be yourself within relationship. You couldn't have a voice, you couldn't say how it is. It's like if you stepped up and were the best version, I think you got shot down, put down by people who were envious of your light, of your joy, of your passion. If you were, some of you have just never been able to step up because you've been around people who just constantly made it impossible for you to be free of anything. I literally do feel like I can feel it in my throat. There is a restriction around my throat. We are going to do some energy clearing in this reading itself. That is what we're going to be working with today. This reading is validating that position. It is acknowledging where you've come from, what you have been through. Oh, I mean, really, it's really very, this is so powerful around my throat. Literally, you've been blocked within relationship. The flow of you, of life, of your voice, of your passion, your aliveness, somewhere along the line you've been blocked. Even if it's not current, it's interfering in a current relationship. So it's kind of like, even if you meet somebody lovely, it's like the residue of the past is still there and it's stopping you from just being able to be you, even though people around you might like you to be. Oh, I feel like I had to almost get that off my chest. Isn't that interesting? So you're safe now. It's time to turn the volume control down. It really, really is. This is an initiation. It's a process of moving through and beyond something. Take your time. Press the pause button. The rune of gateway, it asks us metaphorically to climb to the top of a mountain, to cast our eyes back over everything that has led us to the point we are at today, I always think, to step into a space of gratitude for the learning, even if it's been really, really tough, and then move through that gateway. We shift into a place and a space in time where we know that we have the right to flow. We are going to be moving some energy in this reading. I feel like I need to keep taking breaths. I feel you guys literally, some of you were, I hate to say it, but I think some of you have really, really experienced quite a significantly abusive relationship. And whether that was within your family or intimately, and that person literally, I mean, you were stifled, eroded, suppressed. You just, you know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's the flavour of it. But it's time to shift this position. It is now safe to relax. So we are going to do some energy shifting here. We have the wonderful energy of Archangel Gabriel, revelation and communication. He helps us to speak of the truth and overcome fear and rise into the truest and best version of who we are. Absolutely fabulous energy. The energy of personal leadership. Red calcite, very, very interesting. It associated with enthusiasm, a passion to live life to the full, brings us vitality. It's quite interesting because it can also not only ground us and center us, but it can also bring us protection. It's said to be really interesting, right? This is just so in alignment here with this reading. Red calcite is said to be a real ally if we are dealing with people who step over our boundaries, constantly cross over our boundaries, people who won't hear no. You know, if you think that no is a boundary, yeah, when we open doors, we say yes. When we close doors, we say no. No is a boundary. Respect is a boundary. I wrote about this in one of my books, 7 Steps to Spiritual Empathy. It's actually one of the steps to one of the key components, the principles of true empathy, spiritual empathy, of being able to listen to life and live in flow with life, which is what the book is about. One of those steps is respect. Respect is an unseen, energetic quantity. If you are with someone who is disrespectful, you may not see it, but you'll feel it. If you are with somebody who is respectful, even if they don't say to you, I am respectful, you will feel it if they are. In fact, some people will say, I'm very respectful, and then they're not. You'll feel it. Respect, it's like it sits in the zone between us. It therefore is part of a boundary. We really know when it's not there. Red calcite affirms that boundary. So we are going to do some card shifting, some energy shifting, some healing and some clearing within this reading. Wow, readings are just something else this week. I guess it's eclipse season, isn't it? And we're moving to the, we're sitting between eclipse season and the solstice. I mean, wow, what better time to shift karmic patterns? Ooh, right, I'd like you guys to just sit with the energy of this. I need to say I'm feeling really emotional as well. It's like I could well up and just... I kind of want to shout, I want to cry, I want to breathe. Everything is around my throat, chest, throat, chest up to throat, blocked in the throat. That's where we are with this reading. So we're going to clear this. We're going to use some herbs. We're going to use the crystals we have. I did some energy shifting in reading number 1 as well. So we're going to use the same herbs. This little pot just here, because I'm making up some power packs as part of the gifts that we are giving away, or I am giving away for the May winners for our sort of monthly prize draw. But we're going to use these herbs, and I think we're actually going to use both these crystals as well, because I really want you to know and experience the abundance, and I want to say of love, that can come into your relationships. Because that is what's really, you're being called to move into a space where you are writing your own karmic journey for the next chapter of your life. And blue calcite, so this is a stone of abundance, citrine, and this is blue calcite, which is a real healer, lowers anxiety. We have lavender, which is an adaptogen. Lavender goes where it needs to heal, and sage, which will always cleanse negativity. So, sit with the energy as it is, and we are going to shift and move some cards around. So, first of all, you are in a space of initiation. I'm going to move that here. I want to put the 7 of Swords over here, because this is a card that is telling me kind of you've been in a place where you were damned if you do, damned if you don't. You couldn't get it right. You've had to learn to be tactful, to be diplomatic, but to the point of stifling the truth within you. Now that needs to be healed. So I'm going to bring in the energy of lavender here. Literally just bring that in. And I'm going to bring in the energy of blue calcite. Oh, I can feel that. I feel so much calmer. So we know, okay? It's safe to relax. Let's bring the initiation of Count Saint Germain and Saint Germain sitting here together. We know I want you to know it is now safe to relax. Again, we're going to bring in more lavender just to create a lovely little boundary here. It's safe to relax. I'll bring some between the cards here. Very interesting, in the last reading, I didn't realise amongst my lavender there are some little pieces of copal. Copal, there's a little piece here, in fact I can bring them out. Copal is it's the resin from a tree that's been struck by lightning. It's the lifeblood of the tree. It's very hard hitting, very, very powerful if you burn it. It's very, very helpful for cutting cords and creating divisions and boundaries. So I'm going to place the copal down here. So we're saying goodbye to that past energy. We are cutting cords, marvellous. We are bringing protection in. So we have this wonderful, wonderful energy of the red calcite, a major ally when dealing with people who don't listen and respect our boundaries. So again, I'm going to place it on the safe to relax card. Very, very lovely energy. And let's move these forwards here. Now we have the Emperor, the Page of Wands, and the Tree of Life here. I'm actually going to move these cards over here. I feel like we've got a division in the reading. It's quite interesting. We've got almost like, that's kind of one aspect of the reading here. And this is where you're going. It comes with the Stone of Abundance, citrine, the Stone of Abundance. Now I'm going to keep Archangel Gabriel here, the Archangel, the honey calcite angel, right at the top, governing all of our reading. What I am going to do is bring down these runes. Now, from now on, partnerships are going to flow. Yes, you are no longer entrenched in partnerships that are stuck or stifling. We're going to shift this rune energetically to the upright position. This means that from now on, your partnerships will flow. You have the right to stop, to consider what you wish to say, to voice it before stepping through that gateway of awareness, of initiation. In fact, I'm going to place that at the top here because it feels as though you're processing that. And that means the flow within your relationships is now going to be completely different. I'm going to maintain that difference by bringing a row of sage in here, because sage is a wonderful herb. You know, for me, it's the fail-safe. It removes all negativity. We've got lavender bringing healing. Let's just create a really strong boundary here. In fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sit Gabriel, or the honey calcite angel, right at the top of that boundary, because we need to both bless the past as well as the future. And I love that we have citrine, a citrine point here, bringing an abundance of everything that is powerfully positive. It's like you get to let go of a karmic pattern within relationships, which means from now on, your relationships are different. Whether that is within love, within business partnerships, it's full stop. You are not going to be messed around anymore. You're safe. You don't have to be stifled. It's really interesting. My voice has become free. I feel like my chest has become liberated and my voice is no longer feeling restricted. That boundary is magnificent, and so we know we have this healing. It's interesting that these are two of the crystals I'm actually giving away in the power packs, along with the sage and the lavender in the so be curious to see whether they go to people for whom these readings are particularly relevant. I should just say as well, I've made up these power packs very specifically to give away. I'll maybe make some up and put them into the store as well, and because they're tiny crystals, when we order crystals for the store, we sell the crystals we sell tend to be, you know, a lot bigger, you know, double the size of these. But I always put the small ones to one side and I use them myself because I can carry them with me. I might actually see if I have time this week. I'll try and make up some power packs and put them into the shop, and I'll keep them at a really, really low price, because in many ways the crystals are slightly surplus when they come in, because there may not be that many of them. So, you know, but just check out the store and I'll see if I can make some up in case they are relevant to any of you. And I will actually add copal into the mix, I think. That arrived by chance. I didn't realise it was mixed in with the lavender, but it feels very relevant to cutting cords. Anyway, wonderful friends, this is fab. This is wonderful. This is you rewriting the future, becoming your own hero, the emperor, taking charge of your own life, deciding to write your story. Again, storyteller moon, of course. You rewrite, not rewrite. You put down the story of the past and you start to write the new. I mean, this is about storyteller energy, of course it is. And the Page of Wands, the vitality, the freshness, the aliveness coming back to you. The Tree of Life, putting down your roots, as above, so below. Believing in your dreams again and knowing that they are worthy and you are entitled. So very powerful shift in energy. Wonderful friends, I can think of nothing more to say that's appropriate here, but just so much love to you. And much as I said in the first reading, very big respect, because this level of work is why many of us have come here. At a level of soul, we are pushing through a lot of trauma that's been around for several generations. And, you know, when we deal with it and we create these energy shifts, we are actually rising the vibration of the whole of humanity. We are also creating resolutions so that things are no longer passed down to future generations. So very powerful piece of work. Very, very big respect to you all. So much love. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 3. We have our wonderful cherry quartz angel sitting with a beautiful piece of sunstone. So sunstone, energetic, passionate, vibrant, full of vitality, tends to alleviate stress and fear-based energies, and it creates often a shift in our luck and fortune. Cherry quartz is also said to bring a shift in our fortune. It helps us to move anything forwards if we're feeling stuck or stagnant in any way. Now, our runes, let's look at our runes. So our first rune is the rune of breakthrough, very powerful, because breakthrough, this often means that we're about to take a change in direction. You know, sometimes a 180-degree turn in something, or something is radically going to change. Sometimes the light bulb, it's like a light bulb moment. There's a shift in our perspective or our perception, or something in our world changes. We are caused to move in a new direction. It is a breakthrough moment. Now, this is interesting, next to Othilla, the rune of separation, and also the rune of the warrior, the spiritual warrior, discernment, cutting away the old. Now, Othilla, the rune of separation, it often speaks of letting go of something. It's like we've outgrown a skin, we're shedding a skin, we're moving into a new phase of life. These readings are so powerful. We're not talking small transitions. Every reading has been focused in a slightly different way, and yet they're all about massive karmic shifts. The rune of Othilla, you've outgrown something that was appropriate in your world before. You're now moving into a new phase. Sometimes this is associated with real property, like leaving home, moving house. But one way or the other, there is a gain to be had. But you are needing to be quite discerning here. You need to be quite clear-cut about something. You need to be clear about what you're letting go of and be quite determined. That's the word I'm hearing. Determination is coming through. Let's place our runes up here next to our beautiful angel. There's a lot of vitality in this reading. It feels like it's time to shift from something. That's what I want to voice at this stage. So we have the card of the garden, 5 of roses. It's in reverse. Now, I don't know if you can see this. Let me hold it up to the camera a little bit here. You can see children playing. This does often connect, especially in reverse, to, it connects to children. It could be your own inner child, it could be your own children. In reverse, it would suggest a separation of some sort. You're moving from something, or there could be a conflict with children, or one of your children might be struggling in some way. 6 of Swords. This is telling us, okay, we have the Tower, 4 of Cups. The Shaman, 33, the card of the Shaman. Then we have Grace and the Miriam. Okay. This reading for me feels like it's a reading of letting go. Now, whatever you're letting go of in the circumstances of your own world, it will be unique to you. What this reading is voicing is that it's supporting the changes that are taking place. So they're big changes as well. It could be in reference point to a child. You know, it could be in reference point to your inner child, to a parental relationship, but there is a loss involved here in some way, shape or form. Let me read you the card of Grace. When we sit in relationship with Grace, we see every situation through the eyes of love, fostering our desire to meet life with understanding, compassion and kindness. This card asks that you view your situation with grace. Will understanding bring compassion? How would love view your possible choices? What would kindness suggest that you do? It's interesting. If we think of the energetic astrologically that is around us, Uranus square Saturn. Now, the dynamic of this, and we're in Mercury in retrograde too, so communications can be a bit awry. But the dynamic of Uranus Saturn is that we can sometimes see a kind of a breakdown of things. Now, there's purpose to it because it's the way I would describe it. It's like that energy, you know, when you're kind of, I don't know, if you've had a disagreement, let's say you're in a relationship with someone, you've had a disagreement, but you've not had time to talk about it, but it's just there under the surface and everybody else is we're all pretending like nothing's going on, it's the elephant in the living room, we reach a breaking point where it bursts out. That's the kind of, that can be the Saturn, not always, but it can be the Saturn-Uranus energy. It breaks out, but it breaks out because it needs to. Something needs to be voiced, something needs to be said. Again, it's the storyteller energy around, because otherwise it would remain stuck and stagnant. It needs to be moved forwards. There is no life and vitality in a relationship where our differences are never aired. You know, difference is, if we think of difference as being the source of humanity's greatest potential, it's humanity's greatest creative potential, where we can learn from one another, become bigger, better, broader, more expanded versions of who we are. The breakthrough is needed, okay? But, so one of your children, or a child, or some aspect of your own inner child, perhaps locked into some kind of conflict with somebody else's inner child, I don't know, there's an aspect of children around some of you. One way or the other, yeah, I do think for some people it is to do with maybe dealing with someone who is, they maybe have regressed into a childlike position, which is why it doesn't seem as if it's possible to have that adult conversation of breakthrough. But it's needed. And we need also to be able to get into a space where we don't feel like retaliating. Very interesting, because there's a lot of passion, energy, vitality around you. I think you can see the way ahead. I think you can see where you would like to be, but you're still in turbulent waters. Now, I feel that change is coming, going back to that peak of astrological energy around. This is the breakdown versus breakthrough. It's the point where stuff bursts open, but it clears the air. Everybody knows where they are. We can now start to have healthy conversations. We can now start to understand one another's differences. We can negotiate, we can learn, we can grow, we can flourish again. So there is the space of potential for something to change. What I feel here is that something is actually going to change. I'm going to say whether you like it or not. Now, I very rarely say things like that in a reading, but my younger sister Jocelyn, who's an amazing astrologer, I'm very gifted to have her as a younger sister because I've grown up with astrology. It's like it's in my blood. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, but I have a passion for it, largely because of Jocelyn. She always says when the outer planets, you know, I kind of call them the big boys, they're not all boys, they're girls too, but when the outer planets are having a huge impact on our natal charts or on us as a global humanity, she always says it's stuff that is out of our control, and the lessons to be learned, and Jocelyn, if you hear this, and put me right if I've got this wrong, but I think this is the gist of what you're saying, is that the lessons that we are learning are our ability to be responsive to stuff that is out of our control. So even though something's out of our control, we don't slide into a space of victimhood. We still take an ownership of our ability to engage with change and transition, however it might arrive. But sometimes it's a challenge. There's a lot of fiery vitality, energy here. Now we need to shift this energy to a space of higher vibration, because if you think about it, words carry power, emotions carry power. Now you are still in turbulent waters. You know, I think you know the outcome you want, and change is coming whether you like it or not. I feel like something is going to happen where this is going to be pushed to a point where you have to do something. Four of Cups, that always feels for me, especially in this particular pack, you're going to be pushed into a situation whereby something is going to happen and you are going to have to act. Everything here says, okay, so you're going to have to act. You may already be in that position right now. The breakthrough, the clarity, where you're going, what you want to do, or what is going to happen is around you. 180-degree turns sometimes, and there may be a degree of letting go here. You may have to let go of some aspect of relationship, of partnership. You could have a child that's leaving home. and maybe they're struggling with that process of leaving home, of stepping into their own space of vitality and leadership, and it's time for you to let them go. The rune of separation. You may be struggling to let go and move, literally move house. I think it's going to happen, in which case, you know, if you're stuck in the legal quagmire of house moving, certainly in the UK it's a nightmare. If you're stuck in that process, I think it's going to happen anyway. Something's going to push it forwards. If somebody's been putting a spanner in the works, view it with grace and kindness. Try to hold the higher vibration. Be discerning. Don't put up with anything. There's a need for you to hold your own here. However, don't hold your own in a way that creates a stuckness, because there needs to be a flow of energy here. There needs to be a flow coming through. I can see that really, really clearly. You are having to make decisions, and you're having to think quite quickly on your feet, and that can throw us into a place of wobble, even if we know that we're moving in the direction we want to go in. You know, when you step into the unknown. In fact, actually, I want to make a reference. Guys, thank you so much for your comments, and I hope I've managed to at least kind of acknowledge you all and respond to some of you. And I love the way that some of you are, I mean, you guys, you share your journey with so much authenticity. It's very, very inspirational. And really listening to some people sharing their journeys and saying, you know, actually, I'm really letting go of stuff, but it's so scary. You know, it's like, whoa, you know, I'm having a big wobble here. I know this is the right thing to do. I know I have to let go of that. But, whoa, you know, it's like, it's scary stuff. If you are being pushed into, or you feel like circumstances outside of you are forcing the change, try to tune in with the alignment, the vision, the perspective that sometimes change is going to happen because it's actually right for us. Now, we can embrace that, and we may have a wobble and go, woo, you know, what to do with that? That's scary. We can also find that change, it feels as though we're being pushed into change. Even if that is a challenge, it's necessary because the outcome is really right for you. You need to move forwards. If it feels as though somebody is causing that difficulty for you, again, the Miriam here, the sacred twins, sacred vision, choose to forgive in order to heal. See the light in all. Remember that love has no boundaries. If it feels as though somebody, circumstances, you got pushed into something, you're having to do something that you didn't really want to do, trust that the outcome will be right and appropriate for you. It's part of your pathway as a spiritual warrior. There is a need to shift something. For some of you, there's like an emotional kind of blockage here where you're needing to see the situation through kindness, compassion, the higher vision, the light in all, in order to create that flow of energy through you. There needs to be a flow so that you yourself can embrace the changes and not remain stuck, stagnant in something. Something is leaving your life, and it is appropriate that it's doing so. I do also hear for some of you there's a challenge around loss. If that is the case, you know, again, heartfelt feelings to you, holding you in light. But it may be that that loss, as you process it, is going to make way for something, a new chapter, a new stage. Something has to break open here. That is fundamentally the gist of it. There will be unique circumstances for you each, but something has to break open and move forwards. That is the essence here. I think it's going to, one way or the other. The way in which you navigate it, going back to what my sister Jocelyn says, which is the big planets, when they are moving and shifting, it feels as though the influence of them is out of our control. The key to our growth within that situation is how we respond to it, how we learn to respond to it. Now, I've done some energy shifting in some of the other readings. What I find myself wanting to do here is not so much energy shifting as energy moving. I want to create a flow. So what I am actually going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of moving, not of the cards themselves. I want to keep them just as they are. The garden in reverse, 5 of roses. There's nothing, it's simply acknowledging and validating that there is, that somebody has a problem. That's all it's saying to us here. Someone has a problem. It could be a child, it could be the child part of you, or you're engaging with someone whose inner child is being rather stubborn or difficult. It could even be your own inner child who's really resistant to something, procrastinating, not wanting to move forwards. Everything is pointing to the higher vision. The card of the shaman often also says we have to let go of something. But the shaman flies between the worlds. The shaman moves between the worlds. The shaman sees the higher vision. The shaman holds the higher vision. The shaman can hold healing, not just for themselves, but for other parties as well, by always being able to be centered in, really, I want to say universal law is really what's sort of coming through here. Centered in the universal law of, you know, of earth and sun energy, the energy of the heart. So we're going to move the runes and we're going to move our crystals to create a flow of energy here. So this is our story. We know what's going on. We know that there needs to be a flow of energy and that change is around you. The breakthrough is really important, and so is the letting go with clear, defined discernment. Now I'm going to use some herbs. Okay, while I am here, I just had this little pot of crystals and herbs because I have been getting ready to make the power packs that I'm giving away for as part of the monthly prize draw. But move those crystals aside. We're going to use the herbs here. So this is where we're at. This is what we're aspiring to. The space of the shaman moving through and letting go, holding that higher vision. I'm going to create a flow of energy here. So I'm going to bring in, first of all, I'm going to use sage, which is a wonderful energy. Literally going to run the flow through here. Create that lovely, lovely energetic flow. Now, sage is marvellous because it really does dispel negativity. It's absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely my go-to, really. We're also then going to bring in lavender, which heals. It goes where the energy is needed, and a little bit of copal flying through there. That was something that has come out in the other readings as well. I didn't know there was copal in my little pot of lavender. Copal is the life force of a tree. It's the resin from a tree that's been struck by lightning. And when we burn it, it helps us to cut ties. So there's something about the discernment that's needed here. You need to cut ties. You're going to need to be very clear cut. However, you need to be clear cut with discernment, with awareness, with consciousness. I think the breakthrough is coming anyway. It's really, really important. The light bulb moment is going to happen. And it is really, really important that the separation occurs, because the separation creates a gain. As we let go of something, there is space for the new to arrive. And this is really important. It's like shedding a skin. You move through it. Lovely flow of energy here now, actually. And I'm going to bring our beautiful cherry quartz angel, who brings a shift in our fortune and releases stuck energy. I'm going to put our cherry quartz angel here. And then I'm going to bring in this high vibrational connection between heart and sun energy with the sunstone. And I'm going to place it here. I'm placing it here because I want us to shift that passion, that vibrancy, into a space of positive movement forwards, rather than a space where, if it's ground into a place of stuckness, it can just feel as though we're passionate and we're angry and we're frustrated and we're cross, and we're not in that higher vibrational energy of flow. So I'm just going to place that further in, because I want us to see those herbs just beautifully carrying that flow across. That feels good. That feels like there's a movement forwards, which is really important to holding that higher vision, holding love, compassion, kindness. You know, will understanding bring compassion? How would love view your possible choices? What would kindness suggest that you do? There is a letting go here in some way, and it is important that it happens for your own well-being and your own growth. Wonderful friends, these readings have just blown me away. They really, really have so much love to you. I cannot believe the degree of kind of karmic work that is taking place. Any of you who have tuned into these readings have done so, because that is the pathway you're on. I've said it in every reading, I say it again, big respect to you. It is my personal opinion, perspective, belief. Many of us have come here at a level of soul to do this profoundly deep karmic work at this time of profound evolution. This is the stuff that is going to move humanity into a space of higher consciousness as we contribute within the remit of our personal worlds. The effect ripples out and the levels of consciousness within the collective humanity rise, and we begin, as we create different forms of resolution, we begin to see those different forms of resolution adopted and manifested in our external world as well. Huge respect to you and so much love. Namaste.